What if I told you the biggest tax increase in modern American history didn't come from Congress or the IRS, but from something called tariffs? You've heard the phrase, China is paying for the tariffs, but did you know it's not true? Let's pull back the curtain on tariffs, what they are, who really pays for them, and how they silently choke prosperity, kill jobs, raise prices, and erode the very foundation of economic freedom that makes countries prosperous. This isn't just theory. These are real numbers, real consequences. Tariffs are taxes. They are taxes imposed on imported goods. But here's the kicker. China doesn't pay them. The companies importing those goods do, American businesses, and those businesses pass the cost to American consumers. Tariffs end up resulting in a transference of wealth and resources from the citizens of each country to their respective governments. It's a transfer of wealth from the private sector to the public sector. So when the US government slaps a 25% tariff on electronics from China, it's not Beijing cutting a check. It's you paying more at Walmart, at Home Depot, at the gas station, at the grocery store. This is why economists across the spectrum, from the Cato Institute to the Peterson Institute, agree. Tariffs are one of the most deceptive, damaging policies a government can use. In Trump's first presidency, he imposed over $80 billion worth of new tariffs. According to the Tax Foundation, that was the largest tax increase on Americans in the 21st century. Some politicians lie and sell eliminating the income tax as a way to switch revenue streams to tariffs. But these are empty campaign slogans for votes from gullible people who don't understand how the real world works. The IRS isn't going anywhere. We are just adding more taxes domestically. Manufacturing jobs didn't surge, they fell. The Federal Reserve found that U.S. manufacturing contracted in 2019, even before COVID, in part due to trade uncertainty and retaliatory tariffs. A study by Moody's Analytics estimated the trade war with China cost nearly 300,000 American jobs. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Oxford Economics found that by 2020, Trump's tariffs reduced U.S. GDP by about 0.5% annually, tens of billions of dollars lost. And what did we get in return? Higher prices, lower choices, global instability. This isn't new. We've seen this before. In 1930, Congress passed the Smoot Hawley Tariff Act, raising tariffs on over 20,000 goods. The goal? Protect American industries during the Great Depression. The result? Economic catastrophe. Over 60 countries retaliated, global trade collapsed by over 65%, and the U.S. sank deeper into depression. Smoot Hawley is now considered one of the most catastrophic policy blunders in economic history. History doesn't repeat, but it sure rhymes. Now, some say we need tariffs because of trade deficits. Let's bust that myth. A trade deficit means we import more than we export. But that isn't inherently bad. In fact, it's a sign of economic strength. Why? Because Americans can afford more. We produce more services. We invest more overseas. The dollar grows stronger due to this, despite fiat currencies being inflationary. America became the richest nation on earth not by walling itself off, but by embracing free trade deals across the globe. Tariffs don't just raise costs, they create chaos. They inject uncertainty. Businesses don't know if their supply chains will be viable next year. Farmers don't know if their exports will face retaliatory taxes. Manufacturers delay hiring. Consumers delay spending. It hits everyone, from CEOs to cashiers. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the long-run effect of broad tariffs is a decline in real income for every household, rich and poor alike. And this isn't capitalism. Tariffs are closer to state economic planning, governments deciding what you can buy, from whom, and at what price. They are protectionism by design, a form of centralized control that punishes innovation and rewards inefficiency. The Trump 2025 tariffs, which are currently paused, propose even higher rates on goods. If enacted, they're expected to raise consumer prices dramatically, cause supply shortages, and further isolate the U.S. from global markets. A 2025 report from the Yale Budget Lab estimates the proposed tariffs could cost the average American household up to $4,700 more per year for the same basket of goods. And don't expect the jobs to come back. The Tax Foundation estimates Trump's new tariffs could eliminate over 300,000 jobs, while shaving over 1% off U.S. GDP. Let's be blunt. When countries raise tariffs, almost everyone loses. Trade wars trigger retaliatory taxes. One country taxes the other country's steel. The other country retaliates by taxing their soybeans. back and forth until both economies are bleeding. As the economist Frederic Bastiat warned, when goods don't cross borders, soldiers will. Trade reduces conflict. When nations rely on each other economically, they're less likely to resort to war. Trade builds interdependence on all sides, although in various forms. Trust. Peace. Now imagine a world without tariffs. No artificial price barriers, no favoritism, no economic friction. According to a World Bank simulation, eliminating all global tariffs could lift over 145 million people out of poverty and increase global GDP by over $1.5 trillion annually. That's more than the GDP of Australia. Every single year. Imagine how cheap your groceries, phones, clothes, and cars could be. Imagine how many jobs could be created if businesses weren't forced to jump through bureaucratic hoops just to move goods across borders. And yes, in very narrow cases, temporary tariffs might work temporarily for genuine national security concerns or to allow a strategic industry time to transition. Even a broken clock is right twice per day, but these are exceptions, not rules. Used sparingly, not as weapons of economic nationalism. Protectionism by its nature is self-harm disguised as patriotism. Overall, tariffs produce negative results for the country imposing them. You wouldn't cut off your arm because someone else got a splinter. So why do we do it with our economy? Let's take it to the extreme. What if we imposed a 1,000,000% tariff on all foreign cars? Great, no more Toyotas or BMWs. But now your Ford costs $300,000 because it uses global parts. Dealerships shut down. Jobs vanish. Inflation skyrockets. Transportation collapses. Tariffs don't create wealth, they restrict it. As Ronald Reagan once said, protectionism almost always ends up making the protected industry weaker and less able to compete against foreign imports. So what are better solutions than simply raising tariffs on opposing countries' goods on your own citizenry? Negotiate multilateral trade agreements have worked very well in the past at lowering tariffs in mutually beneficial deals. No threats nor taxes needed to be raised on Americans. Second, countries can join trade blocs that reduce tariffs on all sides. Also, countries can create incentive structures, not punishments, that encourage fair trade. The goal should always be mutual prosperity, not economic isolation. Because when markets are free, people are free. And when people are free, prosperity follows. Tariffs raise inflation, destroy jobs, erode purchasing power, breed global tension, and move us one step closer to state-controlled economies. Tariffs and wealth are negatively correlated, meaning the more tariffs a country imposes, the poorer they are globally. The poorest countries have the highest tariffs, and the richest countries have generally had the lowest tariffs historically. The US became one of the richest countries in the world, not because of trade wars, but because we ignored the rest of the world's statism and focused on more freedom at home. Tariffs are not tools of freedom, they are shackles. And the sooner we throw them off, the better off every American and every human being will be. Don't let politicians fool you into believing that tariffs are beneficial. Tariffs raise prices, reduce competition, lower product quality, lead to global conflict, and, long run, harm everyone, from the rich to the poor.